Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Mike Newton down here at Penrith Golf Hub. We've got an exciting driver review and two new models from Titleist, and it's a TSi2 and TSi3. So two very brand new offerings from Titleist following on from their original TS launch. So really excited. These look really stunning, to be honest, so I'm excited to sort of hit these. We've seen some little clips on tour of these in action and seem to be going in the bags quite quickly with the Titleist staff players, which is quite interesting to see and always a good sort of sign. So a bit of technology to talk about, some new technology, so we're going to discuss that. We're going to hit it. We've got TrackMan, we're going to measure, we're going to provide you some data and obviously my feedback on the looks and the feel of these clubs. Okay, so as I mentioned, we're going to hit both TSi2 and TSi3 in this video. We're going to start off with the TSi2. So typically that sort of larger footprint that we are seeing in TSi2, a little bit more of that weight positioned in the centre at the back, which is fixed, can be sort of altered in terms of swing weighting if we're changing length of shaft or anything like that. We've got typically the Titleist Sure Fit neck sleeve, as we've seen in previous models, which is great. It gives us a lot of options of changing sort of loft, a little bit of face angle, and also lie to really sort of dial these clubs in. So I've got a 9-degree head. I've got this set at A1, and I've got it in some new shaft offerings now from Titleist. So this is a hazardous RDX smoke. So it's a new offering. This is like the newer version to the standard smoke that Titleist sort of offered. So it's 6.5. X-Flex for me, 60 gram, and I've been fitted for this driver. So I've had the Titleist fitting tech rep here, and he's fitted me for this driver. So I've gone through a couple of different shafts, and this is the one that's sort of dialed in for me. Okay, so let's get the first one underway. So sitting down by the ball, presenting that, as I say, it's a slightly larger footprint. We're going to obviously look at TS3, which is a little bit more compact in its head shape. They have made some little bit of adjustments to the face. So what I've noticed on the original TS2 was it was a very flat, square face in a way. There wasn't a lot of curvature on it. So this has been slightly adjusting that toe section, and all right, it's still quite a flat face, but not as severe maybe as the TS2, which is last year's model. It does look good behind the ball. It's a typical Titleist shape as well. Black gloss top, blacked out face. Just got the TSi logo on the top as a bit of an alignment aid. That's a lovely strike, opening shot. Nice towering flight. That looked to be carrying a long way there. 167 ball, 309 carry, got a good launch. Control spin at 2,400. So it'll be interesting to look at these spin numbers, because typically TS2 might just provide a little bit more higher launch, a little bit more higher spin with that weight position more at the back against TS3, which obviously we're going to have a little look at, but some very nice numbers to kick off with there. So let's have a little talk about the technology, and again the theme around the TS, following on from the original TS, which stood for tour speed, is aerodynamics. It's faster the same, so it's faster through the air into impact, increasing club head speed or maxing club head speed as much as possible, and then it's also faster with the ball speed with this new ATI club face. And probably visually that's the big thing to look at, is the actual club face. We've got some sort of graphics now in that heel and toe section, what looks to be like a little bit of a rougher face. You just run your fingers over there, it feels a little bit rough. It's got some like little sort of laser etchings in there, and it just looks very different. But I think it's quite nice when you put it down in the playing position, how the white toe section, heel section really frames the ball. You don't see, it doesn't really jump out, so it's not going from black into completely black on the club face. We're definitely seeing that light in that toe and heel, but not too sort of stand out. It just frames the ball really nicely. So ATI is aerospace graded material 425, which is basically a little bit harder, a little bit more spring elasticated, and a little bit more sort of durable as well. So it's really trying to, again, it's all about maxing that ball speed off that club face, try and make that ball speed as fast as possible. So I've got this set at A1 position here, which just sits this very sort of square down by the golf ball. You know, for the 2 version there, it doesn't sit closed, which is great. That suits my eye. It does sit very square. Obviously a lot longer from that front to toe, the face to the back edge of the golf club is a little bit longer, bigger footprint. Just left that out a little bit up that right, but that feels fantastic. It feels quite hot off the club face. to be honest. 164 wasn't my fastest there, to be honest. So the other big thing that just sort of jumps out there is the sound of that. It's quite a nice sort of sound. It's a positive crack to it. Again, really interested to see what TSi3 sounds like, whether that's a little bit more quieter or it's the same, but it's just a very positive crack. You know you've hit it. It's not too ear-piercing in a way, in a sound, but at the same time it's not too muted, or as you know, sometimes the muted ones feel very dead, don't they, on the feel. Oh, that's a hit, that one. That's out there. Ooh, yeah. A little bit more up that left-hand side to increase my dispersion. 169 ball speed, 114 club head, 2000 spin, 298 carry. That's good. Granted, I've moved that club head a little bit quicker there, 114 on that speed. I think a lot, you know, with the confidence of the head as I sit in it, it does fill me with confidence there. It feels like I can, you know, just let it go a little bit with a bit of confidence there. So the loft offerings in the TSi2, they've got rid of the 0.5 of a degree options now. So we've got a straight 9 degree, 10 degree and 11 degree. And obviously then you've got the adjustability in the neck sleeve to move the loft up or down accordingly. And also that can subtly just change that face angle. And then also you've got then that lie setting. Oof, that is bombed. That is bombs. That's out there. That's the best one. 306 carry, 168 ball speed. I'm quite impressed with that spin. Typically, you know, as that weight moves back in the head, it can sort of go up or down a little bit more in that spin, can't it? That's quite nice and controlled, 2,300. So the other thing that's really sort of happening and what Titleist are talking about is it's much higher inertia on that up and down the club face. So I think, you know, talking from sort of heel to toe, they're not really maybe talking so much about that, but probably I think over the past number of years there's been a lot of work on those mishits heel to toe in terms of trying to keep speed up. We see all the manufacturers trying to do that, don't we? This is what Titleist saying, a little bit more focus of up and down. So if we, from that low strike, which typically we would see that ball launch out a little bit lower, spin up, and that would be a weaker shot, wouldn't it? And then obviously up into the high section there. So interesting to sort of see, and I don't know if I can try and hit one a little bit low. Sometimes my miss is a little bit low on the club face, and I do then suffer a lot with that because it loses a bit of ball speed drop and then spins quite a bit. See, I've absolutely ripped that. When I want to hit one in low in the face, I can't. I've absolutely smoked that. That feels brilliant. 168, again, ball speed, 2.4. Some very, very good numbers. I think looking at a dispersion ring there, obviously I've got that first one I hit was a bit of a peel off to the right, then built a little bit of confidence with that, and you can see the last 4 shots there, very tight on that front to back dispersion. Okay, I'm just going to hit one more shot. Ooh, right, there we go. That was the low in the face, gone very straight. You can just see that climbs a little bit. Interesting to see the spin, that was quite low. Okay, so there's the spin jumping up a little bit, as you'd always expect, and you're going to probably see that on those low hits, but the ball speed hasn't dropped massively, 166.5, so it's probably dropped, what, 1 to 1.5 mile an hour ball speed, which isn't a lot. I mean, that was pretty off the bottom. So you can see where that ball's finished there. It's not a huge drop off and kept the accuracy. So possibly that little bit of work of that inertia, control through that up and down the club face there, doing its job. Okay, so swiftly moving on to TSi3. So a little bit more compact look, shaping, a bit more maybe that sort of better player would probably edge more towards this, who's got a little bit more speed, maybe trying to control spin, maybe he just wants that extra adjustability to really sort of dial in the actual sort of setting to suit there, certain shot shapes, certain strike patterns. So as we saw in the original TS3, we had a cartridge inside which we unscrewed, took out, and you could make that either draw or fade sort of bias. Just had a little bit of a change on that now. Lost the cartridge, and we've got this sort of back section which has a slidable weight that goes around the back. So we have a end for neutral, and then we've got a heel 1 position, heel 2 position, a toe 1 position, and a toe 2 position. So we've just got that little bit more removability there, and some might call it more draw, more fade. I'm quite pleased that Titleist haven't put that on there in terms of here's a draw, there's a fade, because we know it doesn't work like that, does it? You know, it's not going to turn your slice all of a sudden into a nice draw just putting a draw setting. What for me, and what I would tend to do more through a fitting session, is try and match that heel or that toe weight position as per the player's strike pattern. So typically we may see one particular miss in the club face for certain golfers. That's when I think you can try and realign that CG placement to try and get that ultimately that ball speed up and that consistency, less of that gear effect. So exactly the same shaft I've just had in the TSi2, just put that into this head. Again, 9 degree, again set at A1. And I've actually got that weight position in there set at H1, which is, as I mentioned before, I've been fit by Titleist, and I tend to just get that slight heel strike, so just that H1 positioning maybe just help on that strike location. So down by the golf ball, I tell you what, this is a stunning looking golf club. That is Titleist through and through. You know, the shaping, the head shape, it's a bit more compact look, not as long from that face to the back section. Beautiful pear shaped, a little bit of that gloss top on there. We've got the blacked out face, but obviously we've still got that white section in the heel and toe, which I'm a big fan of that. It just frames the ball really nicely, and we just see a little bit more curvature on that club face against the TSi2, but really stunning looking club. Again, it sits very, very square at address. Okay, so interested to sort of get this one underway, which I'm going to do now. That's a great feeling golf club. I'm going to say that's well, on that particular hit, and I hit that quite nicely. 165.9, nearly 166. Carried it 299. The sound was a little bit more muted than the 2 version. I'll go hit another one just to see what that, if that's the case. It's a great sound, very solid. Again, I think the acoustics there are absolutely bang on. It's not too muted where it's feels sometimes a bit dead, a bit lifeless in a way. You're getting that feedback, but it's not obviously too brash as well. Oh, that feels fantastic. Absolutely feels amazing. That solid, just feels very solid, but you're getting some feedback too. Quite identical shots there. So technology wise, again, same sort of things. It's more aerodynamic, so trying to get the speed as quick as possible through the actual air. Do you know what, how much that actually makes a difference from the previous model? I find that quite difficult, possibly in a robot. Again, I think the important part of this is to go and get fit. There's quite a number of shaft options here. I think you just get it dialed in, and I've just been through that process with a Titleist fitting guy, and you know, just find that right shaft in there made me move the club a little bit quicker. I felt more confident. My misses were better, so that again increased my confidence. I could feel like I could let it go a little bit more, and that's where I felt like I increased speed. So the fitting aspect of this is absolutely key. Yes, it might be a little bit more aerodynamic in a robot, but do you actually see that? I don't know. It'd be very difficult to see. But if you've got the wrong shaft in there or the wrong setup of the golf club, confidence-wise, you might not move that as quick. Oh my life, absolutely bombed that. That's 303 carry, really good. Just start to see a little bit of a tighter dispersion here, just these first 3 shots, but that feels amazing. So we're also seeing that ATI face, exactly the same as what we saw in TSi2. It's obviously a head shape. It's still a 460cc, but it's just shaped differently. So it's more compact, definitely looks more compact to address. I love the look of it. It does look absolutely stunning. Again, just got that TSi logo on the top of the club, just as that little alignment. Very subtle, and then everything else is just sort of blacked out. Oh. That didn't feel as fast. I didn't feel like I went at that as much. I said that completely goes against my feel, doesn't it? Probably shows you how much I feel. That was 115.6. Didn't feel that. 170, 3 carry. Again, really consistent on that dispersion. Strikes are really good. So as I mentioned before, this, you know, I think the golfer will probably go into TSi3. He's just looking for that a little bit more dialed in, that little bit more precise, and so that way it generally lends itself to probably the better player who hits a more consistent strike pattern, has a certain shape. They might just want to try and just ease out of the game a little bit. So subtle things like the little weighting change there. We've got obviously the neck sleeve that you can help just to sort of sit a club in a certain way to suit an eye for a certain player. You've just got all those armory of adjustability there to try and work it into all the different types of players that you would sort of see. So just ultimately between this and the TSi2 is just more adjustment. Slightly pulled up that left side, but I tell you what, it just feels, the sound, the ball flight's great, the feel of it is superb. Okay, let's hit one more shot and then we'll go and delve into those numbers a little bit more detail. Oh, gone and spoilt it. Just hit that a bit in that heel. I've just leaked that up that right hand side. Just going to spoil my dispersion ring a bit there. Yeah. Had to put a bit of a dampener on. I've had to hit one too many shots. Okay, but that's a very good drive. I love the look of that. I mean, even at the bottom, I know this makes absolutely no difference to the performance, but it just looks pretty cool, doesn't it? But down in that playing position, we know that's a Titleist driver. The shape of it's not going to change. We always know they make great looking golf clubs, great shapes. But then the feel off the club face, the sound, the numbers seem to be getting good. But let's go and look at a little bit more detail. Okay, so we've got TSi2 on the bottom and TSi3 on the top. So we can see 113.3, 114.2. Obviously, I felt very confident with that TSi3. A couple of really good strikes in there. I felt like I could let that go. I wasn't intentionally letting go, but obviously, you know, I felt pretty confident that. So just squeeze a tiny bit more club head speed. The shaft was exactly the same. The length and everything was exactly the same. So obviously that just related me to getting a touch more ball speed on average at 168. But both ball speeds are really good there. Launching quite similar, touch lower with the TSi3, probably that one there just cut a little bit lower, just up slightly that left side just came out a touch lower. Spin wise, exactly the same, 2,500 on both of those, which is great, you know, really good controlled. And maybe in that TSi2 driver, we definitely caught one up the high up the face, which was that, sorry, low in the face, which was that 3-1 spin, but we didn't lose a lot of ball speed with that, did we really? In a way, you know, there's one there at 164, that lost more ball speed. I'm not too sure where I actually struck that one. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, it's touching that slight heel side there, just dropped that tiny bit of ball speed, a little bit of a slower part of the golf club there. That's probably more that than anything. And then we look at carry distance there, absolutely bang on the same, right on that 300 button with both of those drivers. So for me, two really, really good performing drivers. Okay, everybody, so there we go. There's a new TSi2, TSi3 from Titleist. Really interested to sort of hit those, and they haven't disappointed at all. For me, the original TS2 and 3 were a huge improvement from the previous models. Definitely we saw some uptake of ball speed from previous models, and I think Titleist were desperate to get a good performing driver out. I think they just lost a little bit of momentum in the retail side of things up against maybe other brands. TS changed that. I felt that performed really well because I love the adjustability of me as a fitter. The adjustability was really good, and dialing it in was excellent. Post your comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, as always, on the new range of Titleist. Always a popular brand, so fire your comments in the section down below. If you enjoyed the video, you haven't subscribed, there's going to be more videos coming out there, probably some more comparison videos with this further down the line. So if you don't want to miss those videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring that bell so you get notifications, any future videos. You'll be one of the very first ones to watch it, and hopefully we'll catch up with you all very soon.